So welcome everybody to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today's Friday, December the 3rd, 2021, and our call-in number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And I'll talk just a little bit and give Michael time to get dialed in. And thank you for, once again, listening to a pre-recorded show while we were busy doing things. Life has been a little bit wild lately. But if you go to our website, which is www.whyagain.org, whyagain.org, and you can click on the Start Here button that's in the upper left corner, or you can scroll down and click on the bullseye in the middle of the page. They both take you to the same place, and that's where you're going to find all kinds of tools. You'll find the book, PowerPoint presentations, there's MP3s of shows, just lots and lots of information. All of the worksheets to all of the other workshops besides the forgiveness work. And if you've downloaded the latest update on the app on Google, we don't have it yet on the iPhone, Apple. We're still working on that. But on Google, it's been updated. You'll also find there's a link that says more, and it will take you to all of the worksheets as well, besides just the forgiveness worksheet. So that app is totally taken on a new turn, and hopefully it'll serve everyone even better. We're also coming up on, we're doing the monthly Mindshifters and Still Point Breathing, and so not tomorrow, but next Saturday, the 11th, we will be doing that again. If you haven't signed up for it and you're interested in participating, we'll give you a Mindshifter to do, and then we'll be processing that Mindshifter Saturday morning at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, and then we'll follow that by a breath session. That's working out really well to do this online. And so if you want to participate in it and you haven't already signed up, please get in touch with Michael or myself, and let's get you registered and get you a Mindshifter, get you started so that you'll be ready for Saturday, again, not tomorrow, but next Saturday, the 11th. And there are 3 ways that you can join that membership. You can do just 1 session, or you can do 3 sessions, or you can sign up for a year. And there's different pricing. You can, on our website, if you click on the, I'm going to it as I'm speaking so that I make sure and tell you the right direction. So if you go to whyagain.org, and you can scroll down just a little bit, and there is a section that says events. And there's the Mindshifters Still Point Breathing monthly information. There's also the Codependence to Interdependence and Responsibility Communication Intensive. And that is one that it's 90 hours of video. And so you do that on your own time in your home. They're on Vimeo, so you'll stream them. And then we're here 5 days a week to support you if you have any questions or comments and you need some help on that. Then we are here to answer those questions. So I am not sure where Michael is at this moment, but I'll invite you that if you have a question or a comment, go ahead and press 1. And I see him out back, and he's probably just lost track of time. So I'm going to give him a cue up. So if you give me just a minute. All right. He had lost track of time, so he will be with us here in just a second. But if you have a question, go ahead and press 1. I'll be glad to entertain it until he gets on there. And I had a comment based on the conversation that Ellen was having, but I wanted to wait until Michael got on for that. I see Susan's hand went up, so I'm going to say hello. How are you today?
Hi, Jeannie. I'm fine, thanks. I wanted to give a little grandson report. It won't be long, but he came back from 5 weeks of working on addiction and mental health issues and came home
That's
a
awesome.
completely different person, so much stronger. He'd been eating well. He understood that he can't have any psychedelics at all, and he is off all substances, and he's going to meetings. He spent 4 days with us and then packed his car and drove home, and he got himself a job as a teacher of acting and singing down there while he's going to meetings and taking the rest of this year off, and then he'll go back to school somewhere, not sure where exactly, maybe his old school. But he's fragile and sweet, and he's just so much better. So I wanted to thank you for all the help that happened, and
That
he didn't
is awesome.
decide to stay with us. Yeah, it's just exciting to have him back, and he's back as the self he was before he started using pot in high school. He's actually
Awesome.
this animated fellow who notices what other people are doing and thinking and is interested in other people. And anyway, I just wanted to check in with you and tell you that quickly.
Oh, I'm so glad. So now is he in Florida, or where did he go back with his parents, or what?
He's with his mother in Florida, and one other brother is in and out week by week. The youngest son spends a week with his dad and then a week with his mother. And so next week, the two brothers will be together with my daughter. And my daughter is a little frightened because she works full time, but Jake is going to step up and do grocery shopping and cooking and all sorts of things to help be an active guest in, participant in the household now, which he was way not able to do before. So,
Sweet.
Fabulous.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I've been talking to him not about going off his meds, because his mother asked me not to. He said that she said he really needed those meds to stabilize him, and he himself wants not to have to be on them forever. But so that's going to be a long haul, I think, getting him to the point where he feels strong enough and convinced enough that he can do a regular life without the help of antidepressants, anti-anxiety, sleep medication, this, that, and the other. But the medications did stabilize him. There might have been a better way to go, but that's the one they picked, and it certainly did a lot for him.
Sounds like it worked. That's awesome.
Yeah, I hope it worked. It worked, and I hope he's able to find his way to being healthy without them. But that's me wanting that for him. He's got to find his way there himself. But
well, my take would be that the thing you can do is give him the tools, and if he's got the tools, then if it ever comes to the point where it's time for him to let go of them, he'll be able to manage his life because he's got the tools to do it.
Right. Well, I haven't given him the tools, although he saw me using them, and he saw a healthier grandmother than I might have been without using the tools. So it's once removed at this point, the tools.
Sounds like a great start.
It is a great start. Thanks a lot, guys. So Tim and I
I congratulate.
Just the two of us.
Well, I congratulate and acknowledge you both for holding the space and giving that young man a foundation to move out of some of those old traumas.
Yep, ongoing. Thanks. So carry on. I've been listening sporadically. It's been chaotic, but it's a little more settled down now here at the house. Not so much going on.
Well, I was talking to actually Patrick from the intensive this morning, and he's got someone who's going through some pretty heavy turmoils. And where our conversation ended was in having this person listen to the radio show where Magda called in, and she did some work on her grandfather who had passed, and it was just a really
right, I remember that.
powerful piece of work. And if you look at the fact that you were on some of those same meds, and you've done your work, and you've been able to clear the space for them, and moving forward, then you've laid the foundation for the next layer. And life with, if the meds are straightening out his mind, that's awesome. the tools will help him straight out a little further, and then he's at least got choice from there.
Yeah, right. Wonderful to have that option and not feel.
Well, we'll hold the space for the right choices.
Thanks, Michael. Okay.
All right. Well, anything else going on for you, young lady?
Oh, not really, thanks. I can't think of anything at the moment. I mean, everything, tons, but it's all the usual stuff.
Well, tell Tim we said hello. We send our love.
Thanks, Michael. Do we have
right.
A still point breathing coming up soon?
It'll be not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. Yes, we're on it.
Okay, good. All right.
All systems go.
Thanks.
Awesome. All right, young lady. Appreciate you. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Well, my apology to everyone for being late. I got into working on the garden and just totally lost track of time. So in the future, I'll pay more attention to the time. And we are on chapter 22 from Why Is This Happening to Me Again? The Aramaic Solution. We've been talking to the character Richard about the idea that the replicate mind has no choice. It's just decisions. And when we make the same decisions over and over again, hoping that we'll get a different result, then we're locked into a thing called insanity. And so the objective of the Aramaic solution is to restore the mind to its proper power supply so that wherever we are, whatever we're doing, there is sanity. And we get to live as human beings. We have higher faculties. The higher faculties operate. It's not something that's an anomaly or weird, or it's just natural that you're guided. You live in an energy system that has far, far beyond 5 physical senses. And if what's been taken in by the physical senses that seems to govern most of the planet, at least to date, then the norm is to live in the replicate mind, replaying the same stuff, and anyone who never learns to go in and change the content of their own unconscious minds, never learns to forgive, ends up living in that replicate mind. And the title of my book, I feel so privileged that the universe reserved that title. Why is this happening to me again? Because if we never bypass the replicate mind, then, from moment to moment, day to day, year to year, relationship to relationship, job to job, home location to home location, we get to do, why is this happening to me again? Generation to generation. And when we choose to clean it up, we open a space for choice. And choice is a faculty that comes from the created essence of self, being. It empowers the mind to be fueled properly by the energy that it's designed to be fueled by. And it leaves us in a place where choice runs life rather than decisions. And so that's been our conversation with our character Richard. And I've just given him a definition of forgiveness. He's talked about previously in the book how he realized that when he was in hostility or fear, he didn't make very good decisions, and that he was most intelligent when love was present in his mind. So true forgiveness removes from the human system the realities that defile human intelligence, health, prosperity, relationships. It's the key to aliveness. How do we do this worksheet process? Richard says, I don't have a clue what subject to do it on. Do you have any suggestions? And it's interesting. We'll get people who say, well, I don't have anything to do worksheets on. Well, Jeannie's created a whole section on the website for those who don't have any worksheets, anything to work on. Jeannie, I'm not familiar with where that is on the new website. Can you just share with the audience where it is?
It's
and I
actually,
assume they can access it from the app now, too, can they?
Yes. It's
Sweet.
I had actually announced that while I was waiting on you to come in. If they
cool.
click on Start Here or scroll down and hit the bullseye, on the app you click the little button that says More. And in all 3 of those places, you'll find all of the worksheets other than the forgiveness worksheets. And one of the things on there, it says learn what tools to use when, and hints for those among us who have no issues. So.
Does it actually say that, or is it hints, or does it say hints for those who think they have no issues?
It says hints for those among us who, quote, who have no issues, unquote. And then I say, this is a list, not all inclusive, for those who pretend that they have no issues to do wake-up sheets. So.
There you go. So we've covered all the bases, and that's what we're here to do, to cover as many bases as possible from the experience we have, so that, there's a wonderful line that says, personal experience is awesome, especially if it's somebody else's personal experience. So we're here to be totally, completely utilized to take everything we've learned, between Dr. Tim and myself and Jeannie and Michelle, just as facilitators on the show. We've got, 50, 80, about 120 years of experience. And, it makes life a whole lot easier if you don't have to go out and reinvent the wheel. So we're here to give the best of input that we have, the best of understanding that we have of each of the tools. Not that it's perfect for any one of us. We're still learning, still opening. I know that after 50 years of doing this work, the last 2 years have been by far the most important 2 years of work that I've done. And it just seems to keep, it's like when the opening gets bigger, you realize there's a massive opening possible. And when the massive opening happens, you realize you're just at the beginning, and then a real opening occurs. So it's a process, and you go through several layers where you think of yourself in a certain way, and that self is false. That's the self that Yeshua said, in order for you being to live, you non-being self have to die. That self goes through many stages and changes. And as long as it's running your life, then your life is a replicate life. And we're literally playing out of the past. Yeshua talked about that principle. He said the dead bury the dead, and the blind lead the blind. So what we're doing, and we spoke of those who, having eyes, do not see. Seeing doesn't happen with the eyes. And the brain doesn't see properly unless it's fueled properly. And it is only fueled properly when it is connected to active present love. And so Richard asked the question. I said, well, let's explore the waitress picking up your cup of coffee in the restaurant. So in an earlier chapter, we talked about the fact that he had an experience where he went into a restaurant and he's sitting having a cup of coffee. And the waitress comes over and takes his cup, and he all of a sudden flies into a rage at her. So I'm suggesting he go back and think about that. I think some of the things revealed in that conversation will be useful to discover how your mind produces its "why is this happening to me again" experience. Now, it's interesting. Every mind has its own "why is this happening to me again" experience. And every mind produces it differently. And the variations on the theme are monumental. But because we are creators, if we don't ever correct the content of carbon-based memory, and our creation flows through that carbon-based memory, then our mind is going to generate perceptual constructs that produce the same experience because they're coming from the same data. If you're live and in the moment, then you're never coming from the same data twice. You're fueled by love, but the data coming in, the Harvard research that we've talked about says that in a time frame where 10,000 brain cells are firing, there are 10,000 measurable units of electrical activity happening, and the max amount of information that goes into conscious awareness is 9 bits of that data. It's been estimated that the actuality contains potentially 20 trillion bits of data. So if you got a 9-bit mind in a 20 trillion bit world, it's pretty limited. If we keep doing the same things over and over again, if we keep counting on the same 9 bits of data and the same stored in carbon-based memory, then the general output of the mind, the general perceptual constructs, never change. And we've got 20 trillion bits we could be playing in. So there's always, if you're live in the moment, instead of playing out of the replicant mind, there's always a new opening, a new live thing happening. You know, people say, well, you know, back 20 years ago, I had a wonderful relationship. I had a fun time. Life was great. I wish I could just have that all back again. Well, that's all stored in carbon-based memory, and you could set yourself up so you bring that all back again. And while it was nice when it happened and it was live, if it happens again, it's dead. It's past. Even if the nice stuff is replicated, it's still not living a human life. Now, some people may say, yeah, but it still sounds pretty good. Well, you know, it's that old saying of, you know, money can't buy you happiness, but it can make a good down payment. You know, I've been rich and I've been poor. I'd rather be rich. If you're suffering and you're rich, it's different than suffering when you're poor, but it's still suffering. So what if we were to literally step into the place where we take responsibility for our suffering, for our projected pain, for the painful content in our own minds? We remove it. We quiet that thing, and we bring in the fueling called love so that the mind is always fueled by that active presence of love. And every new moment is a live moment filled with the thrill of life instead of replicate. So what I'm suggesting to our character Richard here is that he start to look at how his mind produces his particular why is this happening to me again experience. And offer him that, you know, if we start looking there, it should be a fertile ground for finding material for several very productive worksheets. And if you want to read that section of the book, Coffee Experience, you can go back to page 31 through page 34. So Richard says, I'm ready to look at everything in my life. He seemed inspired to begin the worksheet process. Well, let's look at what your description of events that day in the restaurant alluded to, and see if any of the issues I think might be there are accurate. So I'm going to offer him some feedback from having worked with a lot of people at that point. And in offering feedback, it's not for me to say this is what it is, but I'll give you feedback saying, well, take a look. Does this look like? Does this fit? And give him some guidance so he doesn't have to, you know, figure his own way out through the whole thing. For assistance, when you were small, were there brothers and sisters that your parents favored over you? Perhaps to the point where they gave your toys to them, I probed. Did you ignore and fight a lot with them? Richard sad. Things were always taken from me. I never had anything to myself. But how do you know that? I don't know how you figured that out, Richard sounded bewildered. I didn't know it, Richard, but I suspected it when you told me, in rough detail, about the waitress picking up your cup of coffee. I didn't tell you about my childhood then, Richard countered. I explained to him that he didn't, but his story did. You break that word history down, it's his story. See, the realities that show up in a mind always first tell about the content of the mind. So all you have to do is listen to someone's words and someone's story, and if you're listening for the patterned, why is this happening to me again experience, the words will explain it to you fully. You don't have to be a genius to put it together. You just need to listen carefully. Almost everyone experiences their own internal reality in place of what is happening in the world. This means there is a pattern or theme for every reality flowing from brain cells. The words coming from a mind reflect the general patterns contained in the mind of the speaker. Words of delight and inspiration reflect a way of life that's as it's designed to be. Angry words reflect an angry history. Sad words, a sad past. And fearful or fearsome words tell a story of a mind brought up in what was perceived as an unsafe world. And the key thought at this point in the book is, and we're on page 156 if you're following along, your words show you what mind energy you are using to construct your realities moment to moment. So let's reiterate some of the foundational ideas here. One, your eye is not a two-way valve. Take light energy in and see out of your eyes. That's a fraud. The eye is a one-way mechanism. It takes light energy in. It is actually quite literally an antenna for light. Now, you can't see out of the antenna. People say, oh, I saw that happen. The truth is, you've never seen anything happen anywhere in the world, ever. Well, Michael, what do you mean? I'm just looked over there at the window. I see the window. No, I offer you don't see the window. Yes, there's light energy. Notice that if you were seeing the window, if there was no light energy in the room, you'd look over there, you'd see the window. But if there's no light energy in the room, there's going to be no appearance of a window. You'll remember that Yeshua said, do not judge by appearances. So there's light energy bouncing off the window. It hits your antenna called the eye. The eye converts that to an electrochemical frequency that resonates content in the brain. And your brain generates the image of the window that you see. Yes, the specifics of the window, if it's painted blue, if the shutters are, yellow, and if the window is cracked, then that gives you information about the actuality, but that's just information about the actuality. You're not seeing the actuality. Your brain is replicating, oh, blue window, yellow sashes, and a cracked piece of glass. But your brain has to have the brain cells. If you put a fly in front of the window and held it and said, now tell me what you see. Do you see that crack in the window? The fly doesn't have a perceptual mechanism to see cracks in windows. The fly wouldn't in a million years say, oh, there's a crack in that window. We have a perceptual mechanism designed for certain purposes. And our brain is designed to give us the best information it has, the best guess it has about what is true about the window. But it can't show us the window. So the constructs of the mind, there's an interesting piece of information we came up with back a few years ago. It showed up in a book. You can go to the CIA.gov, CIA website, and they've got a book there that you can download free. You paid for it as a taxpayer, probably millions of dollars. And it's called The Study of Human Intelligence. And there's a section in the book on perception. And what they're doing, they're doing research to find the best way to get the most accurate intelligence from their intelligence agents. And here's what the book verbatim says. Now, we've been teaching this for 5 decades. But here's what the book says. The mind does not perceive reality. The mind generates reality. So one person may look at, and their brain generate an image of a window with a crack in it and go, oh, we're going to have to call somebody in to repair that. Somebody else might look at it, and their brain generates an image of a cracked window, and they go, oh, my God, I don't know how to do that. We have to get somebody here to repair it. It's going to cost at least $200. I don't have $200. What are we going to do? And now you've got somebody who's just going to make a phone call, and you got somebody else who's now in their worry mode. And how are we going to survive mode? So all the meanings, especially the ones based in hostility or fear, that our mind gives to its generated images, the realities it generates, are changeable. Here's the point. Here's the Aramaic wisdom. They're all changeable. Everything based in hostility or fear is false perception. False perception is born of error. When you correct the error, the false perception collapses, and you're freed from it. Now, the world hasn't taught us that. The world's taught us, oh, you see that out there, and that's the way it is out there. But actually, the realities that show up in your mind show you the way you are, first and foremost, not the way the world is. When you recognize that, then life just becomes so much more flexible, so much more amenable to change. And it's a process. And ultimately, to give you the long view, ultimately what we're looking to do is we're looking to get to the point where you are able to collapse any reality based in any form of hostility or fear. Somebody gives you the look, somebody snubbed you, somebody left you, somebody said nasty words to you. What does that resonate in you? Forgiveness is a tool from the first century Aramaic language which describes how to collapse pain's perception, how to access the internal root of the pain and remove it. That's what we're here to support. That's what we're here to do. Literally, forgiveness, it has nothing to do. You know, the whole Greek idea of you made me mad, you made me sad, this is all your fault, but it's okay, I'm going to let you off the hook for what's happening inside of me. That whole conversation has nothing whatsoever to do with forgiveness, although that's the conversation of the whole world. The forgiveness conversation in Aramaic looks more like, wow, I just had some pain come up in me. As this pain's coming up, I realize that I'm not breathing. There's something going on inside of me. I think I'll breathe. I think I'll apply forgiveness. And incidentally, in the Aramaic language, the word forgive means, or actually translates literally as, the word is shabag, and it literally translates to cancel. And it was lost in translation. And I certainly understand that, because it took me about 35 years of working with the Aramaic to be in the space where I was willing enough to be taught and shown what was going on with it and how it worked. And in essence, remember this 9-bit mind that was talked about in that Harvard research, it's the screen of perception. Perceptual constructs are shown there. If there's pain projected into a perceptual construct, the reason there's pain resonated into that construct is because you loaded a goal that resonates and relates to your pain. And when that pain was resonated, it showed up as part of your mind's construct, part of your reality. Now, when you realize the word forgive in Aramaic is shabag, and it literally translates to cancel, what does that mean? It means that understanding that the goal that you hold is the driver for that perception, and if you load a goal that, let's say, resonates fear in you, then brain cells based in fear will be the brain cells firing that produce your perceptual construct, and you will see something out there that you fear, or at least you think that the fear is coming from out there. But what's really happened is you've built a picture of what you think is something out there out of those brain cells keyed to fear. And when you collapse that picture, and the way you collapse it, and it sounds silly, living in the normal world, it sounds silly to say, the key to healing is everything you ever wanted, every goal you hold when you have some sort of pained perception, is a goal that needs to be canceled. And people say, well, Michael, what's wrong with that goal? I just wanted that guy to care for me. That's reasonable, isn't it? I think that's very reasonable. Well, I think it's reasonable for me to want everybody to care. I think it's totally reasonable for you to want everybody to care for you. And I'm not suggesting that you cancel that goal ever. I will never suggest you cancel it because that's an unreasonable goal. It's very reasonable. The reason I will suggest you cancel it is because whenever you load it in your mind, it recruits into activity something based in pain in you. And when you cancel the goal, that perceptual construct gets to collapse in on its own footprint. And when it collapses in on itself, then you get to confront directly the pained content. As long as you're using the pain content to build your brain's image of someone else, and they're showing up in your mind as the cause of your pain, then you are in an indirect relationship with that which causes your pain. When you cancel the goal and that perception collapses, you get to drop into direct relationship with the root of your pain. And if you're functioning as and out of the active presence of love, and that underlying hidden pain's content comes forward and is exposed to the active presence of love, then healing occurs. That's the core of the process of healing. So you don't cancel a goal because it's a bad goal, because there's something wrong with it, because you should never have wanted that in the first place. Want whatever you want, but if you notice when you load a want, you load a goal into your mind that you go into some sort of pain or trauma, well, that goal's loaded, then realize the key way to healing is the canceling of that goal, the collapsing of the perception that hides the root of the pain from you, dropping into the very root of the pain. Now, that's not always, pardon me, I should say it differently, that's always going to lead to you confronting and feeling your pain directly. It is not Dr. Feelgood. And if you do that with willingness, wow, life just starts to sail along on such a different note. So, Miss Jeannie, it's about 23 or 24 minutes to. Do we have anybody out there in the phone queue with a hand up or anything happening in the chat room?
It is all quiet.
Well, then let's put out an all-call bulletin saying, put up your hand, let's have a conversation. How can we support you? What's happening in your world? What are the specifics? I've given you a general picture of how this game works. Now, how can we get specific and support you? What's happening in your world? Questions about the process you're doing, support you need with the worksheet. How can we assist you?
I'm going to turn on Ellen's microphone.
Okay.
At the beginning of the show, I had a comment or question based on what she and Dr. Tim had been talking about, but I wanted to wait until you got on the show to ask it, and now I don't remember what it was. So, Ellen, I don't know if you can give a synopsis of the last part of your and Dr. Tim's conversation, and then maybe it'll ring a bell back in my head.
Well, Dr. Tim was talking about physical sensations and how we interpret those, and that's what guides our emotional responses to the physical sensations. And I was just asking him about a situation I had as a child where I was tickled against my will, and it was very. It was a feeling I just couldn't take it, and yet, you know, it was something that was done over and over to me. And I was just wondering, because, you know, a lot of kids like to be tickled, and for me, it was torture. So was that just simply an interpretation? I mean, it didn't seem to be like an interpretation to me. It just seemed to be a physical response. So I was asking him about that. So I don't know if that triggers.
The offering I would put, and maybe this will help stimulate for you, Jeannie, the offering I would have would be that, yes, sometimes kids like to be tickled in terms of having fun with someone, and that can be laughing in a fun way, but actually tissue is ticklish. Ticklish is the first stage of pain, is an early stage of pain. And so if someone, and this sadly oftentimes is an adult way of controlling a child, or an adult playing out a power person dynamic of control and inflicting pain, but that sensitivity that comes with tickling is actually the first stage or an early stage of tissue expressing pain.
Okay.
So that would be my offering in it. And what you want to do is, there's a thing that we do with our still point breathing process where we talk about what we call body breathing. And when you're doing the still point process, actually allow yourself to breathe into the area of the body that is holding the pain, or in this case, the ticklish tissue, to actually imagine bringing your breath in through that tissue, and it will oftentimes loosen whatever that pain is about and begin the process of healing there.
So are you saying that there was pain in the tissue prior to being tickled, and that's what made it ticklish?
Well, just trying to think of how to best explain it. When I go back in my medical training, one of the things that we were taught is people, if you go to a place like you're palpating someone's spine, and one of the things that I've studied is how to adjust the spine and palpate the spine. And so you're looking for sensitivities, and you're not, in many cases, people have extreme pain in that tissue. And in some cases, it won't be extreme pain, but it will be sensitive to the touch in the way of it being ticklish, and that is an early stage of pain. So whether someone found a place in you and tickled to the point where they inflicted pain, or were just uncovering pain that was there, there's no way we can determine that at this point. But when you realize that that's what was going on, then, that's a place to start looking at. And, I think that an adult, it's tickling a child like that is kind of like a child, to me, is kind of like an adult scaring a child. It's like they get some kind of thrill or fun out of it. And I think it's sort of a perverted behavior that comes from that behavior having been done to them by an adult. There's a power person dynamic, and that oftentimes can be a control issue. And
in my case,
they'd be the issues to.
Yeah, it wasn't an adult in my case. It was always initiated by my brother, and then my sister would sometimes join in, and occasionally my father would join in, but it was primarily my brother, and I know it was his way of trying to feel some sort of power in the house.
Right. Yeah. But
for me, it never felt just ticklish. It felt like it was pain. It was pain. So
and on an intuitive level, if someone's going for control, going for trying to find a way to feel power, they will also tend to tune into the places where the energy is held that is traumatic. And so, from what you're describing, it sounds like very likely that there was already some trauma in that tissue, and he just that's where his hands went. And of course, when I said adult, I don't really mean necessarily an adult, but someone who's bigger and stronger is usually the one doing the tickling.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Have you done any worksheets around your brother and maybe your brother in control with those sorts of things?
I haven't done any around him. I I did one around. I came up with a mind shifter based on a worksheet that I did around the tickling, which was, it is safe and healing to be in my own skin. And this really all came up because I've been having lots of skin issues. And when I looked up skin in Louise Hayes' book, I think it's called You Can Heal Your Life, it showed that skin represents our protection. And that was one thing I did not have at all in my early childhood. And my skin certainly has never felt like my protection. It felt like my great sensitivity that causes me pain. So I'm not surprised that I have all kinds of skin issues going on.
So how about a mind shifter maybe help to resonate some of those skin issues up to the level of awareness so you can move it out of tissue and your skin go back to just doing what it was designed to do, and that is to protect you.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Okay. So if you've got a pen handy, I've got a mind shifter in mind.
Okay, 1 second. Okay.
It's safe and healing. And I always loved it. When my siblings would inflict this isn't exactly good English, but would inflict tickling on me.
But it's a good word, inflict, because it wasn't a playful
I got it.
thing.
I hear you. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it was control and sometimes a way of passing on the pain from a place of helplessness, trying to look for some modicum of control.
Right. Yeah.
So that would be a good mind shifter, I think, to do, and then listen. Develop the ears. There are energetic patterns held in your skin that as you listen to your skin speak to you, it will tell you what it is you need to resolve. And you'll resolve it. And when you resolve it, your skin will return to normal appearance and normal function. The only reason it dysfunctions in any way is because there are interfering energy patterns in it. And this will be an opportunity for you to literally listen to the tissue in your body give you information about what's going on there. And, it might be something that goes back 10 generations.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever heard the radio show, or did you hear the radio show where Magda did a session around her grandfather?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I'll get a copy of that and send it to you. And it actually came from a mind shifter that she did out of our Codependence to Interdependence Intensive, and it's one of the most profound pieces of healing I've ever seen. I've heard her go through it. It happened during the intensive, and it brought me to tears. It was so profoundly powerful. And then when she called into the radio show a few days later, I was in tears again as she talked about just how powerful it was when she was ready to get quiet enough to listen to something other than her mind. And your tissue, literally your organs and your skin is just an organ, it will talk to you. It will inform you as to what's there, what's going on. And, as I say, it might be 10 generations old. I'm not sure why, but intuitively I keep getting a thought each time I mention that. The thought comes of perhaps something in the way of a fire somewhere in the genes.
Interesting.
And the place for me that it goes, and just put it out to see if clicks anything, if it resonates anything. But what it resonates in me is grief. When I think about it, when I just let myself take a deep breath and tap in on the deepest level, it's like that's what moves in me. And that might be
deep hurt around this whole thing, because it, I perceived that that my siblings were getting a lot of joy out of watching me scream and try and get away, and so that was very, very, very hurtful to me. And then at another level too, that my mother didn't protect me from it.
Right.
She said she tried to, but she didn't impose her authority.
So these are all the things that would go on the right-hand side of the page for that mind shifter.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure that I can formulate this question or thought, but what came up for me was a memory or a thought, I'm not sure which, of someone tickling, but it was actually their way of touching inappropriately, and yet it appeared to be acceptable.
Powerful.
And then a second thought or whatever is that eventually myself making it to accept the pain and endure it, and then having mixed emotions that the pain is acceptable. I'm not phrasing that real good, but that's what came up for me listening to you talk about it, Ellen. So that's mine to do.
Well, I have had my share of inappropriate touching done to me as well as the tickling. Which is another form of inappropriate touching.
Yes. So was there ever any sexual energy pointed at you by your brother, or that you're aware of?
Not by my brother, no. I had my grandmother's boyfriend. I think there was something going on there, because I remember feeling so uncomfortable. He always wanted to set me on his knee, and I did not like him. And I can't really remember why, but I think it was because he may have, touched me inappropriately. And then I had others outside of the house that also did similar types of things to me. But the tickling itself had a real big effect on my relationships with boys and men as I grew up, because I was so adverse to touch and so ashamed that it affected me that way. That it took me, throughout my teenage years, and I don't remember how long it lasted. I was just too ashamed to even tell any of my boyfriends that I had a problem with this, so I would just try and bear the touch, which
wow. So this is all the stuff goes on the right-hand side of the mind shifter. This is all tied right in and related. Sounds like shame's going to be a big part of the healing. Shame is some of the energy. It's literally held in the skin. The skin is a part of your mind. And so there are the memories held there, and these are the things that, you're going to want to do worksheets around, and who knows, any one of them or every one of them might be 77 times 70 worksheet issue to clean it out, to move that out of tissue so that the skin is alleviated of that burden. Yeah.
It was even I couldn't go to the hairdresser and have someone wash my hair. It was, and I would do everything in my power to prevent my body from just spasming by having someone touch my head.
Bless your heart. That's one of my favorite parts of going to the salon. It's that washing of the hair. Whoa, you missed out on so much. I breathe with you and lament, and we'd let go of that one because it's so delightful.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it now. So something changed.
Right.
And I actually allowed a friend of mine who was becoming a massage therapist to actually give me a massage once, because that was one day I was like, you know what, I could never be paid enough money to get a massage, you know? But that was actually okay. Like I've learned to really, like, if I can just get myself really relaxed beforehand, then I can be okay with it. If I just, know where the touching is going to go and not be surprised by it. So it's been a long journey of getting.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I hold the space and breathe with you that all aspects of this issue you can process through, so that touch is just one, always appropriate, always respectful, and is delightful for you, whatever state you're in.
Right. All right.
So that'd be the space I'd hold for you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely delighted, honored. Thanks for having the courage to open that up. That's a pretty deep piece of sharing. So we're here to hold the space, and if any other support's needed as it moves, we're here to be part of it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, young lady. Any other thoughts on your mind for today?
No, that's it. Thank you. Blessings.
All right, blessings. All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
So, Miss Jeannie, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'll have to do some work around that because, I hadn't really thought about it. But listening to her and Dr. Tim talk about it, it was like, And so, but then that was when I said, I've got a question or a comment, but I want to wait till you get on. So, but then I forgot it. So I was glad she was able to refocus that one. And we're down to 3 minutes. So maybe tell people about next Saturday. I mentioned it at the beginning of the show, but.
Cool. No, it's not this Saturday coming, not tomorrow, but the following Saturday, right?
Not tomorrow, but the next one, the 11th.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so on the 11th, if anybody wants to come and play, we're doing a group Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing. If you're interested in being part of it, it'll actually, if you register for the workshop, there are actually 3 different ways to register, 3 different packages to register. One is just a single session, one is a 3-session package, and one is a whole year. We had such a powerful Zoom Still Point session back a few weeks ago that we decided to set up so that there was a year-long program that people could be a part of each month to really get a handle on how the Still Point process works. And the Mind Shifters process as well. So if you're interested in joining us for that, the cost for a single session, and what's included in a single session is you'll get a copy of the video Mind Shifters, an Introduction to Still Point Breathing. You'll get a Mind Shifters explanation from one of our intensives. And there was a radio show that we did called Why Mind Shifters. So it really covers the Mind Shifter process deeply. And we want you to listen to that prior to the workshop, and the night before and the morning of, do some writing of a Mind Shifter. And you'll get a package of Mind Shifters that comes with that, so you can select the ones, and we'll explain how we suggest you select it. And so the cost of doing one session is $150, and the workshop will start at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, 10 Eastern time. We'll expect you to have done some writing and some work with your Mind Shifters. Then 10, and we've got a small group at this point, so probably it'll be finished by 2, maybe 3, not sure exactly. Depends how much process work there is in it. And then the Tuesday following, we were at Wednesday, we shifted it to Tuesday. The Tuesday following at 7 o'clock till 9 in the evening, or 7 until completion point, depending how many questions are in process there is, we'll be doing a second session as part of it. So if you want to be part of that, a 3 package, you can commit to 3 sessions, and instead of being $150 for one, it's $375 for 3 of them. Or you can make a commitment for a whole year, and the year is $1,200. And if you pay that $1,200 or the the year in advance, it's $900. It's discounted, so it gets down well under $100 per month to do that. So if you want to join us, drop Janie an email, JEANIE@WHYagain.org. Include your name and phone number. We'll get back to you, get you registered. Blessings. Bye-bye.